Welcome to Raise Nation Radio, the podcast for nonprofit movers, shakers, and change makers. We are here to fuel your passion with a daily dose of fundraising inspiration while keeping the conversations and connections from the annual Raise Conference alive all year long. Tune in for fresh perspectives, bold strategies, and the hottest trends lighting up the nonprofit world. Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned pro, buckle up. Each episode is packed with lively discussions, expert insights, and creative solutions to help you make an even bigger impact. Now get ready for another exciting episode. Please welcome your host from One Cause, Dawn Lego.
Hello, Raise Nation, and welcome to the show. I'm Dawn Lego. I'm your host. I'm so glad you're here with us today. And whether this is your first time or you've been with us for a while, thank you for being part of this incredible community and helping make this channel what it is. We've shared so many stories. They spark ideas, they warm hearts, they inspire better fundraising, and today's episode is no different. So get comfy and let's dive in. I'm so pleased to welcome my guest. First time I'm meeting Mr. Gardner, but I've heard so many amazing things, and I think you're going to truly be inspired and comfortable. I say that because please welcome to the show, Mr. Gardner Comfort. Hi, Gardner. How are you? Welcome to Raise Nation Radio.
Thanks, Dawn. Hi. It's nice to meet you. How's everything?
Oh, pretty good, but I'm excited to get to know you more. We share some friends and colleagues in common, and heard a lot about you, but I want to hear it from you yourself. You're an author, an actor, a teacher. I don't know. There's lots of initials after your names that I don't even know what they are. But I want to get to know you. Raise Nation wants to get to know you. So elevator pitch, who's Gardner Comfort, and tell us all about you personally, professionally, and anything you want to share.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. And yes, I am a multi-hyphenate. Most hustling, actor, writer, artists are. We wear a lot of hats. But the long and short is I am an actor, a writer, and I'm a New York City tour guide. I teach at Queens College as an adjunct professor in the Department of Drama, Theater, Dance, and Fashion, which is a new, I guess, multi-hyphenate there. I don't teach fashion, I teach acting. And I was born and raised in downtown Manhattan in New York in an artist family. So that's part of why I'm so, fixated on New York history. So I moved into tour guiding as another one of my hyphenates, one of my hustles. And I also have Tourette syndrome, so I am on the board of I'm on the board of the New York City chapter of the Tourette Association of America. So I do a lot of advocacy and
in your spare time.
Yeah, exactly. Volunteering, teaching, sometimes working directly for the national organization of Tourette Association of America. And I believe the reason you and I got connected is I have a solo show that I created with my good friend Kel Haney over 10 years ago now, called The Elephant in Every Room I Enter, about having Tourette syndrome. Mm-hmm. So that's sort of the long and short of it. I could talk about myself ad nauseum and in other categories. And
we're intrigued. No nauseum in this room. Cal Haney, she's so special. We talked to her a few weeks back. She's been on the show as well. She's actually joining us for our annual conference. We have a conference every year in September. We're going to San Antonio on the Riverwalk, and she'll be there. And in our wrap up after our podcast episode with Cal, she just had such amazing things to say. And now I understand why. I couldn't even keep up with, all the hyphenates after your name. But tell us a little bit, I'm not an artist, right? You're like a multi-artist. And I find that I wish I could channel my inner Gardner, but I mean, what is it like to live in Manhattan and to be an artist these days? I'm just so intrigued. I mean, what is that like?
That's a great question. I mean, the first answer is it's hard, it's very expensive. It's very, complicated. That's probably the first thing most artists who are not fully funded by their parents would say is just, cost of living is crazy. It's a crazy place. It's busy. It's loud. It's, it's difficult. And that's something that I think artists are used to, and I would say, for better and worse, are good at adapting to. And I say that because we do what we love, so we're willing to go through hell to do it. But also, I would say it's bad also because we're willing to work for free, work for less, do all manner of things that perhaps the previous generation of artists did not. But the industry is like, hey, look at what they're willing to put up with. Great, let's save money. Let's make the actors, put themselves on tape for auditions, and we won't even have in-person auditions. We'll save money on office space, and that's all COVID related, but it's continued. So the long and short of it is, it's crazy, it's unpredictable, but that of course can make it fun. Every day is different. It requires a lot of energy that, I would say, especially performing artists typically have in spades. So running around New York City, going to see theater, oftentimes theater that, friends have created, oftentimes theater that's, on the third floor of some crazy building somewhere far away. That's like, the kind of,
but maybe the best show of your life, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I tell my students all the time who are total beginners, you go see absolutely go see Aladdin, go see the Broadway shows. Great. Have a great time. Broadway can be great. But I encourage you, at least in this 4 months when I have you, go see the crazy off Broadway shows I'm suggesting, because you'll probably never have, it's not something you're going to hear about. Yeah, it's very intimate, and it'll certainly be very new. So,
it's a tight-knit community, right? You think Manhattan, and you think like disconnected because there's just so many people and things to do and places to go, but it's not, right? It's like pretty tight-knit.
That's a very good point. Yeah, I think it's both. I mean, absolutely. It's the biggest city in America. It's the most densely populated, so it's crazy, it's crowded, and yes, it is. We do have Times Square. We do have all that stuff that locals avoid like the plague. But being in theater, I'm there or around it a lot. But all you have to do is walk a few blocks away from those big areas, and you're in at least a slightly more local area. And yes, you have all your little hole in the wall stores and restaurants and people. And yes, it is in many ways a local, very local community. You run into people on the street, or you make friends just by virtue of like, oh, I'm going to help this lady carry her thing up the stairs, and then we're going to chat for a second, and I'm going to say goodbye, But that's funny thing about New York is we're not necessarily nice, but we are kind. We do help each other out in ways that I think people are surprised by, and that leads to what you're describing.
I would argue that we're not nice. I think because I put myself in that pool. I'm from New Jersey, right? So I'm kind of a cousin to New York, right? We're still related.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think we're just busy and focused and in a million directions, and have so much on our mind that I think we forget that, breathe and just demonstrate that kindness. I think that's what the problem is. I wouldn't say that we are inherently not kind, right?
Well, what I always tell, like when I lead tours, and I talk, often it comes up when I'm talking about 9/11, just because of like the way people came together after that, right?
Right. In a heartbeat. Yeah.
Exactly. And I say, and I imagine most places would do the same, but I say, you think of New Yorkers and we're brusque and we're rude and we're impatient and we're, obscene.
We're
and all this
busy.
Stuff.
We're just busy.
And I say, look, all those things are true, but when it really comes down to it, we will help each other in very, very humane ways.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. So you're an author as well. Is that right?
I mean, I've never published anything. I've written a number of theater pieces. So again, the one-man show about my life with Tourette's that I did with Kel. So
now, when was that? That was 10 years ago. Do you continue to do that, or it was a one? Oh, you do.
Correct.
Okay, tell me about that. I'm so intrigued.
Sure. So Kel and I, we worked together on my prior solo show, one-man theater show called You're Not Tough that I wrote, she directed, and it was,
Kel directed it? She didn't
yeah.
tell me that.
Yes.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
yeah, I know she's shifted into fundraising and stuff, and she's very good at it. But she was a theater director here in New York for many years.
Oh, that's right. Yes, I recall now.
We got connected. We have this whole long story that, we have our own interviews and various things that we've done about. But from that, she's actually the one who suggested we do something that's more personal to my life. And we kind of felt like, okay, what is this show going to be? This is 2013. We're discussing it for the first time.
Okay.
She said, okay, I think, and that's my tick, by the way. Don't have it anywhere near as much as I used to, thank God. But she said, you're unique. You have this disorder that's very misunderstood. Everyone thinks of it as the cursing disease, which is not that accurate.
Oh, that's harsh.
You grew up in this, the kind of like sunset of old New York. You grew up in this artist family, let's create something about your life. And I was like, yeah, sure. Okay. And then ended up getting this artist residency here in New York with this theater company, Mabu Minds, where we had basically like 6 months of rehearsal space. And in the midst of that, coincidentally, I went down to my first ever conference of the Tourette Association of America in Washington, D.C. And it completely changed my life because I was just surrounded by people with Tourette's in this massive hotel. And it was like normal to have Tourette's. And
normalized, yeah. As it should be, though. I mean, it should be normalized.
Yeah.
Even if you're not at a conference, but
exactly.
I
think that's actually why my tics have calmed down over the years. Since then, I've gone to several conferences. Now I speak. I do all these acting classes with kids with Tourette's. So I'm less. I don't know. The anxiety has reduced a bit, and I don't know. The tics have too. So anyway, that was an amazing experience, and I started, calling my wife, calling Kel. I was like, oh my God, you won't believe I had this wild thing, and I met this guy, and this kid has this tic I've never even encountered. And she's like, okay, well, we have our show. Let's do
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so where do you see the show? Does it run?
Well, it does. I don't do it much anymore.
Okay.
We did it.
Was it a fundraiser or was it for profit?
Well, we raised money for it. Yes, we did do quite a bit
that kind
of
fundraiser. Gotcha.
Exactly. It was never exactly like a charity fundraiser event, specifically, but we performed it a few times at theaters downtown, a few separate runs over 2014, 15, and 17, at pretty well-known theaters. Again, all self-funding,
wow.
all this wild stuff. And then started doing it at like medical schools across the country.
Interesting.
Yeah, I got a lot of, absolutely wanted to be able to take it to theaters and, move on up to kind of an off-Broadway commercial run. And that didn't happen, but
well, maybe it'll happen now if we're manifesting who knows? Yeah,
exactly.
Because the show is still on the shelf, right? Like you could, you can bring it back anytime, right?
Right, I could do it for you.
You can do it right now. We'll have to do that. Another episode of Raise Nation Radio.
I know. And during COVID, I did do. I think I usually do like a 30-minute snippet of it, as opposed to the 75-minute show. And I did that over COVID over Zoom a few times in various times. And I've done it. I did it at a portion of it at a middle school in Queens a year or so ago because they had one student with Tourette's, and they did a whole day for Tourette awareness. I was so touched. Yeah. So I talked to the kid, I talked to his class, and then I did this snippet of the show and took questions from sixth graders. It was a beautiful experience.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah. Oh, I hope something comes of this podcast that, I love normalizing things and breaking down barriers and helping people understand. So help us understand here on Raise Nation Radio, what is Tourette syndrome? What's the challenges that you experience? And how does the community thrive?
Great question. Yeah. So Tourette syndrome is a neurological disorder that you're born with that manifests in vocal and motor tics, meaning little, impulses that are uncontrollable. So, I'm clearly clearing my throat a bit. I used to sort of, move my body. I'd knock my knees together. and in many cases, it can look like all manner of other disorders, and it's really only identifiable as a just an in-person diagnosis, observation. They don't really know what causes it, even though it was discovered in the 1800s. So this goes to show you how slow research can be. It manifested for me when I was like 5 or 6 years old, and luckily I was diagnosed when I was 7. And of course, when I was, that age, I didn't quite understand, even though my parents were just learning this,
Nor did your peers, I bet.
Oh no. Yeah. And
that's tough.
Absolutely. Bullying was very tough. I mean, it was better than it could have been. I mean, I went to a small private school, so like kids sort of whatever, they dealt with it better. Fewer anonymous exchanges in school, but I lived in New York City, so streets and subways were very anonymous, and I'd have adults harassing me. I mean, I'm very, I feel like I've become very circumspect, but also thoughtful and positive about other human beings. But I also am very realistic about how closed-minded people can be. And
still today in 2025, when all we do
100%.
is talk about, inclusion,
identity and
right?
inclusion.
Yeah, right. Well, I feel like on one hand, it's all we talk about. On the other hand, it's the one thing we forget, like all the time.
Yeah. Well, talk about anonymity. I mean, we're very disconnected and interpersonally, I mean, I could go on a tear.
Yeah, that could be another whole episode.
Phones. Yeah, exactly.
All right. So help me bridge the gap here. So you are very accomplished and you wear so many hats that take a lot of time, but yet you choose to be a voice for the Tourette syndrome community and live a higher purpose and do things like create shows and give up your time and visit schools. And where did that calling come from, and why is it so important to the community, and how has it impacted the Tourette syndrome community?
That's great. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I appreciate that. The joining of the New York City chapter of the Tourette Association of America was sort of simultaneous with starting to work with Kel. So going down to the conference was this wild new experience. So I was learning how kind of valuable that community was for me and how long I had avoided it, because my parents were, I think, members of the New York City chapter, or maybe at that point it was just the one organization back in the day. And so they'd get newsletters and stuff, but it was a burgeoning thing. And by the time I was an adult, there were chapters and there was awareness and there were opportunities. And so I think I made a decision at some point after kind of had avoided speaking out about having Tourette's, because I thought it would affect my reputation as an actor, And
oh, partner, I'm sad to hear that.
Well, it's a very real thing, but I think I realized, well, my reputation isn't that prominent, so like, who cares, And Kel was very supportive of that. Other people were, and it's sort of just like it all sort of worked in fruition, and speaking out almost gave me more opportunities simply because I had this show and I had, it wasn't just that I was like making time to volunteer. I mean, I was certainly not making a lot of money, but once I would sort of go to these medical schools and realize I had this talent for not just performing, but like speaking at events and talking to kids, which I had done for years, I was actually making a little bit of money from it. So, as a multi-hyphenate, as someone who waited tables a lot, I was like, okay, I can make a little bit of money doing something I love and hopefully make a difference. Like that works a lot better than, hustling through a catering hall. But yeah, I mean, I remember when Kel and I were first getting these bookings at like Mount Sinai on the Upper East Side, or Penn State. We did, I think, 3 different visits out to Penn State, and like at 10 a.m. med school class, and I would do like a stripped down version of the show and take questions from med students. We were like, wow, this is cool because like they clearly have a lot of questions. I'm totally equipped to answer them. It seems like it's making a difference. And, some of these big institutions are paying decent money. Like,
Yeah.
this is like a cool win-win.
Yeah.
And then when I go to like, Tourette Association events, they often have me down. Like this past March, I went down to DC for a training for their youth ambassadors, which is like teenagers who have Tourette, who like are, they are voices for awareness in their community, and I was basically teaching them public speaking so that they could, address their community. And it was essentially acting classes. And it was amazing, and I do this fairly often, and it's great because like I appreciate the like variety of experience. Like these, I'm in rooms with like 20 kids and they're all chirping and barking and shouting. I mean, it's like, it's madness, but it's like, it's hilarious and it's beautiful. And we're like all celebrating
Love
this
it.
crazy and very unique condition that, in many cases does contribute to creativity. I believe that my acting talent is at least a result, if not a direct result of having this
Yeah,
disorder.
I think that this is so unique, right? Because every disease, condition, mission has awareness opportunities, right? Who has conferences, who has events, they have walks, runs, rides. But this is so cool. You need to revive this because it is such an interactive, engaged, entertaining way to have. Like, I want to go to the show. Like, if you put me on the list, I mean, I want a VIP ticket though. Sorry.
I don't
when
know
the
what
show
that would entail, but absolutely. You got
Okay,
it.
yes. Just put me down on the list for future performances. I'd love to learn more. I'd love to be part of the community that is bringing awareness and normalizing and knocking down those barriers, because everyone deserves the same opportunities and to live in a judgment-free zone, in a safe zone, and just be, who they are. And so, I applaud you taking your artistic part of your life and then just be in and turning that into advocacy. It's super cool. You need to revive the show, and you need to make sure that Dong Lego is on the VIP list because she's coming for sure.
Okay.
So where else do we see you acting? I mean, is there anything current that we can see you at?
I am doing some sort of off Broadway show in the fall at a theater called La Mama, which is actually where La Mama, which is actually the first.
I like saying that, La Mama.
Right? Yeah, it's on East 4th Street in the East Village. It's where Kel and I first brought the show. So the first 2 runs of Elephant were down at La Mama. It's a long time, very, very kind of embedded in the community. It's an institution for kind of avant-garde theater and dance, and they have a lot of puppetry there. Anyway, I'm doing this crazy show.
Puppetry. There's still puppetry in 2025. That is so cool. I didn't know.
Yeah. They have like a whole puppetry.
So
festival.
What's the preparation like? You say in the fall, right? As an actor, what is your preparation?
That's a good question. It's rare that I would be in rehearsal already for a show this far out, but this is technically a dance piece. I mean, there's a fair amount of text. You dance too? I dance a bit. I didn't get
what type of
training,
dance? What are you doing?
Modern hip hop African, I guess. Is most of my training.
Modern hip hop African.
Yeah,
okay.
I know. I'm not a good enough dancer that I could be in a company, but that was always sort of like, my mother is a choreographer, so I grew up in this dancer's loft.
So much
downtown.
Artistry in one family.
And she always encouraged me to, because I liked to dance and I was good at it. And she's like, as a man, as a boy, as a male, you will work nonstop if you can dance. And I was like, yeah. And so I would take dance classes through high school, through college, but I never quite got the training that, what
the ballet. The ballet is the root of all dance.
Of course. And I've done that a bit, but like, I just didn't get enough to like be able to just jump in and audition and really do it like I do acting. And whatever. I think maybe it was too close to home or something. But I do move a lot in my shows, and the Tourette show has a bunch of dance and a bunch of just intense.
Oh, the Tourette show has
physical
dance in
movement.
it
A little
too.
bit,
Oh,
yeah, a couple
wow.
moments. This show is the woman who's directing it and wrote it. Her name is Tamar Rogoff. She's kind of an old contemporary of my mother's, just a long time downtown choreographer who does a lot of theater now, and it's not exactly dance. And anyway, so it's this crazy show called Gimme Gimme Gimme, which is a dystopian.
Gimme, gimme, gimme at La
Yeah.
Mama.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I can say that all day long.
Exactly. It's in October. So yes, it's a little abnormal that we're already rehearsing, and we've been rehearsing for like a month and a half, as the script is kind of being, shifted and changed and updated. But in dance, that is common, sort of like this months and months and months and months and months of preparation for often a very short run and very little money.
Wow. Yeah.
But well, we'll take the summer off, and then we'll really gear up in September. But yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm basically the lead. It's this crazy dystopian game show where people compete to improve their bodies, and it's very screwed up and crazy.
Okay, now I want to
get
I want to get to that show too.
Yeah.
You're just intrigued. I like things like this,
Yeah.
I mean, hey, I love Broadway. I've seen every show there, but I like all of, theater, whatever that may be.
Yeah.
Wow, this has just been so inspiring. So what's your number one message to your students? Your students might be listening to this podcast, right? And so what do you want to tell them? Like, what's the message you need to
show up to class on time? Stop pretending.
Okay, I was going for deeper, Gardner. I was going for something deep here.
Well, try new things and be open to new things. I mean, you mentioned my students. I would say this to a lot of people, but it's interesting. I teach at this school way out in Queens. Most of the kids, don't go anywhere near Manhattan. Maybe they're from the suburbs on Long Island, and a lot of them are, just have no experience with the arts whatsoever, never seen a play. And I'm teaching this intro to acting class. And, again, they're sorry, my dog is making some noise.
Hi, what's your dog's name? Cameo here.
Honey.
Hi, Honey.
She's chewing on a fake bone. Anyway, so these kids are great. They're typically, finance majors, bio majors, trying to get what they think is an easy credit. And many of them,
are you a tough teacher?
I think so. I mean,
boy.
I'm very clear. This is why
I was going to sign up, but forget it now. No kidding.
Show up to class on time is like, all of what we do is in class. I do very little homework. Anyway, I just do my best in that one semester where it might be the only time they have any kind of intensive experience with the arts.
I see.
That I kind of try to expose them to arts and culture and ideas and the importance of exchanging ideas as opposed to, staying in your lane and avoiding expanding your mind. And it can be really exciting. I have these students who are, either immigrants or their parents are, and they're from these kind of working class backgrounds. And the idea of taking time for the arts is kind of taboo. So to see them kind of come alive and sort of have these epiphanies is very exciting.
Yeah.
So I really treasure that. And sometimes there's great talent, I mean, it's a beginner class, so I'm like very much holding their hands throughout, but to see a student who's never performed suddenly
blossom
discover something exciting is a real gift.
Wow. Okay.
So I would just say, keep an open mind and keep trying new things. What's the worst that's going to happen? You don't like that thing,
Yeah. So we're talking a lot about Manhattan.
Uh-huh.
You're a billboard, Times Square. Okay. Come on now, play along, right? That's acting. Come on, play along with me.
Right. Yes.
I'll be the teacher now. You be the good on-time student. So you're a billboard in Times Square, right? What is your message to the world about the Tourette's community, or I'm going to give you a choice here. What is your message to the Tourette's community about the world? What's your message on your billboard in Times Square?
Wow. It's funny you mentioned that, because we actually, Tourette Association did have a billboard in Times Square for a hot second not long ago. My message is pay me to do what I'm good at.
Oh my gosh. I'm trying to get you to go deep here,
Gardner.
Go deep with me here.
Deep? What is deep? No. I guess it would be uh, those with neurodiversity are not to be feared, are not to be chastised, are to be celebrated. Neurodiversity is to be celebrated, and because we contribute in some cases extraordinary things to society and to our communities. I think in my experience with Tourette's specifically, and you could probably expand this to a lot of neurodiverse conditions and whatnot. They're alongside the pretty major and life challenging tics are often some real gifts, and typically creative oriented. I know a lot of people with Tourette's who have some ability that in many cases it's like shocking to see this person who you encounter is just like constantly ticking and incapable of having a cohesive conversation, suddenly just in the zone. This is the way they say sometimes people with severe stutters can sing and it just goes away. So I think that's a really exciting thing to witness if that person is given the chance to find that talent. And again, with Tourette's, in my experience, it's often something artistic. But Tim Howard, the famous goalkeeper, has Tourette's, and he's known for having these really intense tics when the play is upfield. But then when he's tending goal, he's like completely in the zone, and he's known as one of the best goalkeepers in the world. So I would say, encourage the unique talents of your children, of the people in your community, because you never know where it might lead, as opposed to forcing them to conform. Because you just imagine all the people with learning differences, as we say today, who maybe are punished or what have you, and then they don't discover what their ability is, and they that could be a very dark life. And it's a dream deferred.
And we all lose out when that happens, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, we totally lose out.
And that's the other thing I would say is like keep an open mind, because you never know what you might learn from someone else who you initially think is crazy or
we can always learn from anyone, right?
Yeah.
And of course. Yeah. So basically that's your mantra.
Long slogan for
that's
a billboard,
good. Yeah. I don't know how we're going to fit all those characters on a billboard, but we'll try. We'll certainly try. Yeah. But I think you just defined the trajectory of your life. It's keep an open mind to your students, to that's you're living that. You're living that. Mantra for sure.
I grew up seeing some crazy downtown theater and dance and whatnot, and a lot of it was terrible, but a lot of it was absolutely life-changing. I've seen and done theater on the subways of New York City, and like absolutely, the things that you just never imagine will be exciting end up being like total adventures. So I just can't.
I don't think you're going to ever be able to live anywhere other than Manhattan.
This is another problem. This is another problem, because I basically never have, except for college and grad school, and I did live abroad both. And I've traveled a lot. I'm not one of these New Yorkers who just like won't cross the river. But I do worry.
Good. So you will come to New Jersey.
I love Jersey. I'm in Jersey a lot. I go hiking. I go hunting, actually. I'm actually a deer hunter, another hyphenate. Yeah.
Another hyphenate. Oh my God. The man of hyphenates. I think that's going to be the title of this podcast. Well, before I let you go, I just want to know what's next. What's next for Gardner Comfort? We know in the fall you have, aside from your, debut there. What's your 5-year plan?
Oh boy. Well, so in addition to the solo work, I've started writing full-length plays. So I have 2 sort of finished plays that I've had some staged readings of. A month or so ago, I did one that's about some security guards outside a convenience store in Long Island, and it talks a lot about the justice system and prison and all this wild stuff. So I typically I often focus on kind of the lesser known characters. I'm very intrigued with the street. So I'm trying to develop those further. It's not the best time in the world to develop new work in all across the board in show business, unfortunately, but I'm certainly not stopping. So that play is called Convenience. The other one I've been working on is called Battle Rattle. And those are plays that, I'm submitting to, residencies and whatnot. I did a short film snippet of Battle Rattle that I acted in. It's available on my website, gardnercomfort.com. But
we'll get your website on the show notes for sure. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And then lots of tours as the spring comes, and again the show in the fall. And
all right, let's list the shows now. At La Mama let's list all the shows now.
Okay, yeah.
I love all these
so
titles.
That show is in mid-October at La Mama.
The name of that one is?
Currently it's Gimme Gimme Gimme.
Gimme. That's right. Okay.
It might change.
It might change.
And I hope I'm allowed to talk about this early. But hey, it's out there. It's all good. Tamar Rogoff, this brilliant choreographer, director, writer, is the creator of
Do you update all of this on your website?
I will.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Then we'll just link that. We'll link to show notes.
And a lot of times most of my news goes on Instagram, and that's Native New Yorker Tours is actually my handle. So
Native New Yorker Tours. All right, you're gonna have to email me that so I can put it in the show notes. I don't know that I'm gonna remember it.
I know.
We'll have to remember. Oh, so when you do the tours, it's like the double-decker red bus? No.
I mostly am on foot. Actually, the double-decker buses now, I believe, are all automated guides. So that's
that's
a bit
no
of
fun. I want Gardner. If I'm going to tour New York and get a tour, it's Gardner Comfort or nothing. I'm not. That's it.
That is thoughtful.
My son loves those buses. I have a son. He's a part of the neurodiverse community.
Oh, really? Okay.
And he loves New York.
Oh, cool.
He just wants to go to New York.
Great.
He doesn't have a lot of concept of what that means, but so we try to create experiences for him.
That's great.
A great day for him is sitting in one of those double-decker, but no more, not if they're automated. We're going where Gardner is for our next tour.
That's great. Do you mind if I ask, what is your son's, when you say he's neurodiverse?
Yeah, he's nonverbal, and he's part of that community. We're a label-free, family.
Stigma-free,
and we are stigma-free, of course. And I have two children. He's Michael, she's Alyssa, and you take them both as they are or don't take them at all. Yeah. And we don't really allow stop signs in our house either. If Michael wants to go to New York, we go to New York. One day he said he loves Madagascar. So one day he said he wanted to go to Grand Central Station. So off we went for his birthday. Every year we typically take a tour in. I'll splurge for a limousine, which he absolutely loves.
Wow.
He'll get some kind of horribly sugared drink in one of those, plastic tubes, and he looks just like a typical teenager in the back of a limo drinking something, that might be an adult beverage, but his is just full of sugar. We have the best pictures of him, doing that. We filled the limousine once with squishmallows, those.
No, I don't have kids, so I imagine that.
Okay, they're pillows. They're pillows that went viral, and they're some kind of plush that's a little bit better than other kind of plushes. And I don't know. There's way too many in my house, but we filled the whole back of the limousine with them, and off we go,
That sounds so cool. Good for him. Good for you.
And once we went to a bakery that had a really, really long line. I don't remember the name of it. I should shout it out, but I don't. Maybe Magnolia Bakery.
Maybe.
And just to get a cupcake, right? And the line was awful. It's Manhattan, people, right? The line's awful.
Yeah, we're the TikTok world. We just everything. Suddenly something becomes a go-to. And
yeah. So I'm in line for hours for a 3-inch cupcake. But the good moral of that story is after that experience, I call my daughter. I'm like, well, I can tell you that your brother Michael was absolutely the best behaved person on that line because your mom wasn't. So I was a little how long is this line? Why? The guy behind me is arguing with his wife. Another little kid is having a meltdown, and Michael's just patient, waiting for his cupcake. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, don't be afraid of the neurodiverse community. Yeah. So
wow, very cool.
yeah,
Very
cool.
interesting.
Well, okay, I totally went on a tangent there, and I digressed into my stuff, but it's all about you. We are going to stay up to date with you, Gardner. We're going to get on your Instagram. We're going to get on your website. We're going to see you in October, and we can't wait to see what else you're going to do. Thank you for joining me on Raise Nation Radio, being a voice for the Tourette community, and just everything you do, living your life with purpose and keeping an open mind. We appreciate you and how you inspired us today. So thank you.
Thank you, Dawn. I really appreciate it. This was a lot of fun. And I will give one last plug. Starting
please.
on the 15th of this month, it is Tourette Awareness Month, May 15th to June 15th. So
now, why can't they go May 1st to May 31st?
Yeah,
okay.
It wasn't our choice. It was the powers that be. I don't know why. It's a good point. It's a good point.
May 15th to June 15th. So half month. Okay, so we've got 2 months to just be more aware. But let's keep in mind that those with Tourette syndrome live their challenges 365 days. So we want to educate ourselves and be more aware between May 15th and June 15th, but we want to use that to carry us through all year long.
No doubt.
So thank you for being that voice. Well, Raise Nation, that is a wrap for today's show. I know we can keep going on and on about this multi-hyphenated person, but you can follow him on his website. Big thank you to Gardner Comfort. And of course, to each of you for tuning in. You're truly the heartbeat of this community. Remember, voices and experiences make Raise Nation inspiring. So don't be a stranger. Join us on the show. Share your story. And let's continue to build this amazing community together. But until next time, you stay fearless and keep raising the nation. Fearless Fundraisers, that's a wrap for today. A heartfelt thank you to our guests for sharing their stories, insights, and expertise. And to you, our fantastic audience, for everything you do to build brighter tomorrows in our communities. We hope today's content inspires you to amplify your mission and grow your impact. Don't forget to join us for new episodes every Thursday, wherever you listen to your podcasts, or catch us on YouTube and on demand at onecause.com. And before we go, we'd love your help in growing this podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, follow, and subscribe to Raise Nation Radio. Share it with a friend, and please leave us a review so we can continue delivering content that inspires and empowers. Raise Nation Radio is produced in partnership with One Cause, your go-to for digital fundraising solutions that connect nonprofits with their donors and drive results. Visit onecause.com or scan the QR code to schedule a one-to-one with their fundraising experts and explore the latest tools and innovations to help you reach more and raise more. Plus, be sure to check out their extensive catalog of free resources to support your mission. All the links are in the show notes. Raise Nation Radio is inspired by the annual Raise Conference, presented by One Cause. We'd love to see you in person at the next Raise event in September. It's a 2-day experience featuring over 35 CFRE accredited sessions, dynamic speakers, and the latest innovations from our sponsor pavilion, and priceless networking opportunities. And while you're there, don't miss the Fearless Fundraiser Party. It's where memories are made and lifelong friendships are formed. Secure your spot today at onecause.com/raise. The link is also in the show notes. Until next time, thank you for tuning in. And as always, stay fearless.